Hello, my name is Dane Asmund, and this is going to be a reading of This Map is Just a Suggestion. Now, This Map is Just a Suggestion is a massive 520-ish page book. It is selected and edited poetry from across all of the books that came before it. Well, almost all of them. There are quite a few things in here. My very first book I ever published, Limping Concrete. We have Existential Questions to Inanimate Objects, The Idiot Monologues, 7 Days Astray, Corticosis and Ecstasis, Hardly Anonymous, Chasing the Forge, Necromantia, Among the Glass Mountains, While Opening the Wound, No More an Estrangement, Selfish Book Selfish, and This Map is Just a Suggestion. Which is the original poem, which is the title of the collection, and it's at the very end. I'm going to hop around and read some poems from across the books, and we're going to start chronologically. So in Limping Concrete, which was the first book that I ever self-published, you cannot find it anywhere, probably. It is poetry that ranges between 2007 and 2010. At that point is when I collected this book together. It's full of a bunch of untitled poems, and then some of the ones near the back are titled. So these are some very, very early ones for me. Forgive their roughness, but we're going to start out with Heart. This one won me a little award at the college I was at. Heart. Inspiration, the river of unending mythos. Ideas taken form by shaky minds and reluctant hands, from fingers strung up your trails of veins, the life web of your pulsating warmth broken, its candy red shell erratic, ecstatic, compelled beyond words pursuing an ideal. The heart grows legs of force, arms of will. It sways from the blood. It traverses the locales you dare not. It walks alone among tunnels, cuts through back alleys in the black, is lost in the rhythmic beats of strobe-lit rooms dancing among people it does not know. It is you, aware of your intentions, willed to, but you don't let it. You pull tethers of arteries. It gathers itself back into your cave, sorrow pooling around its sitting body. It sits, it waits, it is blacked out. It lets the white button-up shirt cover its home. You walk the path that you'd taken the day before. To the car once called a more mercurial silver. You waltz the daily breed. You allow it to take lead. Take care to not step on your dance partner's toes. She lets you off at your door. The slamming kiss and the path is walked again from your gray lover. She oft waits for your decisions, but not tonight. Tonight is warmth of the halogen tube, plasma scream. It is decidedly so, until the new night when the ideals will flow, as crimson mercury running, where it can lead the way for your wayward heart. Yeah, a little saccharine, a little purpley prose nonsense. I also wrote a poem while I was in my first year of college called Queer Child. It was about one of my teachers who was a really fantastic American poetry teacher. He was actually a scholar of Walt Whitman. So, Queer Child. Scholar man in printed garb, unconscious of self-conscious decisions subconsciously made by else-authored inner monologue. Fulfilling as the empty pot set in mulch to grow among heaps of man-bodies. Yet he, made of vine and seed, lain bare-toothed in ground, planted to impregnate fruit. He ferments in the soil, roots reaching queerly for the sky instead. Curious he, catches wind and takes with threads of parchment, through new elementary stars and stratos to capture words like flies, in hopes to lay to bed letters like seeds. Growth in the gardens. All right, now we're going into a new book. This is Existential Questions to Inanimate Objects. I originally called it Part 1. I thought I would do a second part to it. That did not happen. I've got a couple poems here that I'm very, very happy with. One of them has sat with me forever because Robin Schiff, an incredible poet and once teacher at the University of Iowa, told me that this poem needed like nothing changed, and that meant the world to me. So this is Non Omnis Moriar. Convince me that I am not here, driving the interstate and lost in an artifice that reeks of wrecks, tombs out in the middle of everywhere, waiting for the venture. I found you, and I entered, nothing but dirt and old tires, movie screens and sandy back lots projecting fertile lawns, catching windows with bones in the rear view. I'll be sold solid in this windshield, carbon date me, come sedate me, sunrise on mountain roads, I'm not lost. My window shows the way through one-way roads. Dawn on day, break mountain callings, dome of any rock. Keep it safe and keep it gone. Gone from every or any connection, any likely touches kept at bay, shielding glass. My hands are free in the wilderness. When bug hits hand, thank you. I left my tread marks in the waking desert yesterday. Mummies keep the sand and heat as well as any box. Box me up and ship me. I'm wandering, meandering walkways in some other state, wishing for altered states. I traveled, and here we've been. Ate crab on the coast, found dead crab on the coast, found some art in the Midwest, found some deer in the road, found some horses on the road, found some letters sprawling walls, found gods in rows and halls, found animals in exhibits with plaques. Latin, we all speak Latin. Autiam inveniam aut faciam. This is a longer form poem that is written very roughly as though it is a play. This is The Rape of the Wolf. The stage is lit and burning. Enter woman, waltzes to center stage. Yesterday I found that my very own body was made of water drops. I've been touching myself ever since. Rubs her face carelessly. This face was made of surreptitious loads of star deaths, mega deaths of meganovas, halos and shit. Bends over, flips dress that she is now wearing. I cow to a princely court, if ever there were to be one, touching myself some more. Touches herself some more. Enter something terrifying. Woman is scared, she guesses. Not by choice, mind you. I have nothing but contempt for this sort of thing. If I undress, she undresses. Then I am doing something correctly. If I run from the thing, I'm fulfilling my role in distress. If I sit, she does. I must not spread my legs, she does. Because the bulge of a man isn't vulgar, but the lack thereof is. This is a vagina. It is. Because I'm a woman, I'm expected to do one of a few things. Terror will fuck me. Terror will grow in me. Terror will abort. If I don't lay my vagina on something, then it's golden, and I'm pristine. Something terrifying brings a cauldron of smelted gold. Woman lays back, legs still spread. Something terrifying pours gold over vagina. Woman sits up. A gilded cunt is never shown, always talked about. Dawn's dress looks vulnerable. And now I am terrified. Now I'm vulnerable. Don't rape my chastity. Don't taste my blood. Don't haunt my home. Give me passions. Don't give me ideas and identity. I'm but a woman. Humble and comely, never to come lately, never to come at all. Don't come to me. Runs from anything or everything. Stage direction dictates that I was running all along. My name is backtracking horror, lineage of a prostitute named Mary or Madeline, maybe Ophelia, Ariel, or Medusa. I am hysteria, a syndrome of not getting. I'm cast solid in gilded rose metaphors. Who has the key to turn this lock? Enter trees. Woman climbs a tree, dangles arms from the branches. I, the temptress of tempters. Apples are too easy, reach in deep for a new fruit. It spent serpents to tell a tale best told by women. I am the fruit, Adam. Come receive my juicy nectar. None of your children knew how to write, sticking to the rod or the child. Tree catches a fire. None of your children knew best how to kill a woman. I hold no stakes in this. Cut a little deeper. I will wake once more. Climbs down into the blaze. Worried of my effigies, worried of my cast gold heart, I will burst like a fig, a tasteless purple bruise of a slit that will bleed. Is on fire. Fuck me, take me and try me, I date predestined. Only in the dead months do you notice Persephone. So be my curse, be barren and be hungry. Fertility wears labia, burns like crops, looks like cocks. The penis is an ungainly clit. I call you Wheel of Fate. Enter Wheel of Fate. Woman climbs onto Wheel of Fate still ablaze, strapped on by something terrible and or the trees. Forgive me and stall this suffering, knife thrown at Wheel of Fate. Woman, forgive me my trespasses, as I must forgive those who trespassed me. Knife thrown at wheel of fate. Woman, forgive my witnessing of crimes, as I've been unable to look away. Knife thrown at wheel of fate. Woman, forgive me for speaking, I forgot my place. She catches a knife in her teeth and grins. That one's a very fun one to have performed. If you ever apparently get a chance to see it on stage. I don't know when that would be, but you never know. The next book is Corticosis and Ecstasis. This was kind of a collected book. It had some new stuff in it, but it collected stuff from the previous books and kind of summarized my time in Iowa City, where I did my undergrad degree. So my favorite poem in this collection is definitely I'm Building Down. This is a really, really weird one that is built in a format where you can read it across or down. There's 3 full stanzas that all have this ability, so you could read this in many variations. I also have a gold foil broadside of this poem I'll put on the screen here. So I'm just going to read it once. I'm going to read it across, then down, then across. I'm building down. My contents blow out like suffering, as though science is in the eye of the being. Going orgasm holder. Taught using organics like fantastic cobwebs. I'm building down. Colluding, I negate myself fallen. Scions are thinking tithe, like I will never love you. Swirling deep leth, now sinking, caught in quit, down and down and down. Pollution, out on my scaffold, no more hollow words. Or, behollowed grounds, feel deep within, collect sown veins sought lately, complicate your thoughts and roots, decompose common vectors, are commissioned collectors, soon secrete steel by God's laird we used men's muse, there are no ores, none. Now, of course, you can read that a number of other ways. And I believe that the time I performed this on stage with people, we actually did kind of take turns rereading the sections and reading them in different ways. That's the only one from that collection I believe I'm reading here. Up next is Hardly Anonymous. Hardly Anonymous is one of the 5 books that I wrote while I was in grad school. This one never got a full release. For very particular reasons. I was working under some really amazing poets like David Trinidad, who is a very confessional poet. He will share stuff about himself and other people's lives that maybe people don't want to know. So this collection had poems about people. They were very skinny, long poems, kind of a just run of ideas about this person. And everyone was titled with the first letter of their first name. So if you knew me and you knew the people I knew, it was easy to figure out who was who. And so I didn't want to air people's laundry. But it's been years, so let's take a look. This is S. And it was supposed to be a secret, a ride with R, and I suddenly began crying and told her, I love you. I didn't even know it until I brought you over for a night and we got drunk and watched the lost skeleton of Cadaver at the Dolan Place house in Iowa City. You were feeling terrible, probably something to do with your girlfriend in another state. You were having a hard time with everything. I wanted to make it better. I got a drink I didn't want, so you would have it for when you came again, and you didn't. I couldn't come to your concert, I'm sorry. I watched it alone in the basement with headphones and cried whenever you dedicated a song to your girlfriend. You told me once that you were bisexual, and that's something it seems good at sneaking up on me now. I thought you had made some move. I thought you had told me about relationship troubles, and I began to dream. I would take any chance I could to be with you, offering you a ride home even when it was only 2 blocks. In a drunken stupor, I told everyone at a party I loved you. I thought they would get it, understand what that meant. I, the one who never loved, cried in his car just thinking of how much he cared. Like I had a heart for once. You play guitar and you sing and you play keys and you play whatever you want. We made something together once. We were the eternal one-time performance. But this wasn't going to be about me. It wasn't supposed to be. You're a poet too. I think sometimes you're too poetic, romantic at the very core, and you are. And I'm not at fault. I self-publish books, and you thought you would too, so you did. I still have it on my bookcase. Sometimes I pick it up just to look at it. An artifact of another life. I guess I'm sorry I missed your book party as well. I've never been good at being around, but maybe you didn't know that. And that's lovely. I know your songs, and I hold your voice and music up to my ears to hear the ocean. This is my note in the bottle, and I'm hoping it floats out to you. So one day you will pick it out of the leaky abyss and read it looking at the sky, a dandelion behind your ear, like the picture of you I always loved. There were quite a few poems in that book, and I shared a lot of other people's secrets, I think, so that's why it was never published. But it's kind of a beautiful thing to write so many books that I can let one or two go unpublished. The next book I'm reading from is called Chasing the Forge. Chasing the Forge is a collection, not really a poem so much, but dreams. I had a long period of time where I had a notebook and a voice recorder by my bed, and as soon as I woke up, I would record exactly what I remember from my dream. The more you do that, the more lucid you become in your dreams, the better you become at recalling them. So I've marked just a couple of things. Gold Book Dream 1. I dreamed about holes again in the house under my bed. A room swirling black, leaves and shadow morphing the blackness to the skittering of rats. A bedroom in the walls. I'm a child. My house is violent. My grave is outside, and I am already in it. Recorder Dream 39. I was in some sort of odd race, interplanetary. It was a game, but I ended up in enemy territory. There were potential threats, but I escaped, landing on the wrong planet. My opponent tricked me. Then I was an interplanetary marine, a SWAT team, and we ended up catching one of our own doing something horrible. It turned out he was transgender, and they wouldn't accept him for that. When they told him he would be executed, I told them I would kill them before I let them do it, but I was too slow, and they poisoned him. Then they opened an airlock and sent me into space. I was attached to something and got away alive. But the man, he was really beautiful. They were searching through his memories. They had attached his mind and made him think of common day things, food. They kept doing it until they pressed and found his secret. There, in the back of his mind, was a woman's name. When they said it to him, all he could think about was a beautiful woman. And slowly, the woman's head became his, and slowly, the woman's body became his. Then they killed him. That was years before I came out as trans. I wonder why. The next book in chronological order here is Necromantia. Necromantia was, it means corpse oracle. It's a Greek thing. This book was collected from my own notebooks. I went through all of the notebooks I've ever kept, and I grabbed all of the lines I've written, the beautiful lines that I've just written in class as a note, and I stitched them together into poems. So the title was Necromantia. If death were sudden, it would be stopped in 35 stitches. So the titular poem, Necromantia. I'm the corpse oracle. Watch how I can stitch the flesh of anything. See these other voices like compulsions from the void, ghosts of good material. It's not really about what everyone wants. They pay to lose. Stitched 3. Wide the wound. Someone is playing in the dark, but there's not a sound in all the loud. Nothing confirming. Ambulances follow me. I'm just trying to be missed. Stitch 18. I remember few things as fondly as that cemetery. Broad red stains in the asphalt. Did you find something useful there? I thought I'd discovered something, but then I realized others have thought they'd discovered something. A fine, square, white patch. And then, midway through the book, there is a long-form poem in here that I'm going to read called Cross Stitch. Breathe always little. Like a high-functioning human, don't sleep at night, don't go outside until noon, walk in the sun and notice how it feels different. Look at the blue door you never noticed, how that roof looks like a castle. You're no more or less than yesterday. Experience life a command. That trim is blue, too. A blister on your finger. Touch it. Watch how it shifts. It's a new gift. Stop looking down. Learn to say enough. Smile like someone else. A green folder. Stop yourself. Stop. You're obsessed with holes and particularly good at slipping out. How quickly light visits a hole. I'm not afraid of my shadow, but how many there are. By the sidewalk rests a black pool of rainwater. There are no depths that cannot be fathomed. I roll my mind to the back of my head and walk down into the puddle. The buried always return, like how punctuation and people lead a smile into sleep. I never miss, always swing. Sleep. I've been standing on the trains facing the tunnel walls, eyes set on the pipe that travels between platforms, and where it stops, where it breaks away into more tunnels. I watch as tunnel gives way to tunnel, and I gasp at the dark. I take the time to know how big a dream can be, chanting to the quiet that we are less than centuries. You'll find me black in the fire, a note on the table. Expect me. Expect. The air smelt of snow, and she sat alone with a Celine Dion CD insert, reading the lyrics and looking at the pictures and I'm sorry about forever. And these houses designed to drive everyone insane, and these signs saying hair/skin dreads, and all these prayer books promoting hopes and dreams. Dream, what a beautiful worry to sleep. These strange sliding hallways belong to you now. This is exploration, stock photos of people getting blown. A winter every day, there are people who talk into silence. Someday, no one will talk about me, and I will sleep. Such revenge. Whiten something for the slip. Slipping. How many to fill? There's a certain panic. Overlap the stings. Not enough poison for these layers of skin I'm peeling. Chain link teeth. What kind of mouth takes teeth? Borrows skin, thins tongues. I would say not enough, but I already know. There are only a few methods to begin to see. Hallucinate. Nothing sacred when the tongue comes out. Repulsive glamour, magnificent super butchers, a whole shape in red ink, precision. If I paint my eyes white, will I see through? Need to accuse everyone of all these body pieces. Too clever, baby cuts. Start again, yellow opiates to sleep, green to wake. A fevered waking. There are more things at stake at a time and a driving need to relieve oneself in the dirt. This isn't the first time I've woken into dreams. In the grander scheme of 2 minutes, there's time to remember that there's nothing mundane about being alive. In dreams, we forget when we traveled. In life, we're asked to remember nothing else. When asked to write about my day, I forget the events. I never ask what things are when they come. They must be broken. Be with the builders sing. Remember your hands in summer. How they sometimes cradled heads, sometimes. How the world is no longer flat. Rejoice in these moments that are at best a stolid reminder. Our marrow may one day be gone, but even at the ghost of it, our dust will keep working. Infinite, nothing more or less useful than imagining that there is no more to be done. Recall, no matter what is new, there will always be these hands and these sandwiches. The Enlightenment came and went, and sliced bread was our creation, the best to be had. There can be no avenues of intellectual discord. We will always fold our food and put it into our mouths long after our bodies forget what to do with it. That poem was actually built out of other poems. Instead of working through all of my notes, I went through basically all of my past poems, and I was pulling things out of them. The next book is Among the Glass Mountains. This was a collection of things that I wrote during grad school that didn't have a book to go into. So it's kind of like a mixture of a bunch of different writing exercises and the like. This one is called X-Rated, and if you're familiar with the X-Files, you'll catch it quickly. I believed the aliens when I couldn't see them. Now you've gone so far, and I've still over 150 episodes to go. Will I watch them eat breakfast? bake a space cake? Is their frosting silicone-based? They probe so often it must be realization they're only ever trying to share sexual liberation with the typical abductee. Interplanetary sexologists gone proselytizing. Scully came back in a coma. It must have been one orgasm. I wonder what the ghosts think of the aliens. Do they ever meet up and hang out? They seem to have similar interests. A warm scare, a little death. Do the aliens miss their effects from season 1? And how far down the ladder must the vampire have felt? A filler episode without Scully. Seeing her comatose body on the table, those are big cups to fill. Mulder, I've seen your little red Speedo. Krychek did as well. And I think we both agree you won't fill anything. This is To Guide Enoch Through Heaven, after Uriel. It is based on the apocryphal texts, the Book of Enoch. I really love reading religious texts, so we'll just leave it at that. To Guide Enoch Through Heaven, after Uriel. Father, he asks me why the stars are kept in the cages of fire, then asks me why that tree is there upon the mountain tops. When I ask why he wishes to know these things, Enoch says, I wish to know all things, but especially about that tree. He knows not of all the lightnings and fire in that deep valley. He knows nothing of my Tartarus or the Watchers, and it's thus that I must always tell him myself. Father, would you give him what you give us not? Knees, to bend low and sit beside you and be your most holy companion in heaven. Did not I and Raphael and Gabriel tell you of the beasts made by union of Samyaza and Azazel and womankind, that they gave men such things as knives and hate and makeup and taught them about clouds? Clouds! He wrote a book, Father, claiming to be the only one to have seen or known these things. But I have known all along. Knees, Father. Long have we watched you sit, most unlazily, and we are tired. Did you know that angels don't have knees? That's that's what inspired that poem and was one of my favorite things. So there you go. There is a really, really awesome... I don't know if it's a poem. It's a poem / short story / something that's in that same book, and so it's in this collection. And it is called A Disturbance by the Idiot. And it's a long one, so I will not read it in this particular reading, but it's really, really good, so I highly suggest that you get this and read it. The next books in here are While Opening the Wound and No More an Estrangement, and those are 2 long-form poems that fuse together into my recent book, While Widening the Wound. So I would suggest just listening to that reading if you're curious about those books, because I read them in their entirety. The next book is called Selfish Book Selfish. I felt like it had been a little while since I had put out a book of my own work, so I decided to just pop out a poetry book with work that I had done. These poems were all written while I was on a cruise, and kind of the weirdness of being on a cruise is what overtook these poems. I was drinking, I was doing nothing, I felt like I was in a hotel, everything was artificial, and that was kind of my focus. The poems here that I'm going to read are titled with shapes, so I can't give you the titles. This one's got like a bunch of sharp edges. And I will start every poem with and why not? I haven't been stopped yet. Someone told me to start and begin the same, but I've never ended on and I'm chewing my hair again while I'm sitting and writing, like both should type, and so pens forfeit my left hand for sacrifice. I'm resting my foot and wondering how long my shoe print will remain. Someone told me our sheets are never changed. He marked one on the first day and this poem is titled with some kind of squiggly shape. And every signature starts the same as the last. One line at least. What kind of naked truth can flow like the milky grunt? Aphasia, a slipped continuity, forget how to speak to the spoken. What Whitman, oh William, oh sacred literary fathers, undrunk on a cruise and trying not to be caught, with crystal-tipped birds and fleet-feathered waves, to ask who or what met this glass-bottomed barge and honest. Do I ask who wants? I like 'em with experience. and I'm paraphrasing a drunk Mexican woman's English. And English isn't capitalized in Spanish. No language is. When you go to see signs in every language, the other nations seem humble, and English as thirsty as colonialism. A lazy line. Why hasn't anyone used my second toothbrush? And what can love even mean? We are all migrating to the distance of homes where our accents fit. Jumping forward a little bit in that book, I've got kind of a crown-shaped symbol here. And I've also got a really weird squiggly one. I'm just going to kind of read these two back to back. Our crown jewel, it is a jewel once in a crown. If you recall our regicide last summer and the ensuing pillaging, this isn't from that. But it fits with our theme of the regicide anniversary from last summer. Look at how it is unworked, and it looks like a rock you might find anywhere else. Admire that it is, for we wouldn't risk the real one on display with all the pillaging still going on since the regicide last summer. We haven't begun our tour, but please line up for the pre-tour tour. Admire the lobby of portraiture not destroyed from our local castle, inside which you are in. Admire the fourth removed duke and his cats, another obscure royalty no one knew to hate but who still died. See here our signage and sign painters, Steve and not Steve. Here, the price list for both the tour you're on and the one coming up that you at this moment owe us for. We no longer are accepting thoughts and prayers, but are taking Pokemon Go lures. Thank you. And then the final piece of this book is called This Map is Just a Suggestion. And it is a long-form poem. It sees three characters that have been in some of my poetry kind of arguing with each other. One of them is the Red Saboteur. She's wild and crazy. One of them is the Idiot, who used to be the thinker, the one who overplans everything. But there is a being called the Director, and that is the sort of monologue out of this poem we're going to look at today. There's a few really long poems in here that I think would be delightful to read, but I would take up hours of your time. So, picking up kind of in the middle of the poem here. But we see now, all things can fit neatly into boxes. All things are systematized. All things are systemic. Order is the breath of your breath, knowing it's time to breathe. Inhale. Now out. I am we as well. In an organized city of actions and reactions and nouns and thoughts, chaos is not unknown. Chaos is the active player, choosing which rooms to enter at which times. Thinking. Thinking is the placement of the buildings, the room in your buildings. Both your movements and lives are all the same, just parts of the actions. As much or little as I am, as we are. Let's not be so dramatic. There is only us in control here. Thought in its place, chaos in its choice. I am the third limb which precedes the others, but which can be left alone. I am that thing. And now you think, but what organization is there in an organized chaos, and a functional system for those who would use it? I organize because you are accustomed to it like this, but what about this? You all mistake order and law as rigid and without give, without take, but that's all it can be. Imagine organizing now. Imagine you have enough drawers for everything there ever was. This red ball is rubber. It belonged to Kelly when she was 10 until she was 13. Then it belonged to Heather. Whose ball is this? Does it go under Kelly or Heather? Is history factual or other? And should systems update with the years, or is its historical placement a piece of its organization? Is moving through time categorizing new seconds, or just changing the ones we had? Imagine making that a system, replacing nouns. Hera leaves Hetty, and now they cannot be the double H, the H squared. And Hetty is replaced with Mona, just nouns changing, a simple form. Hera lives in New Orleans. No. She lives in Amsterdam. Just erase the old one. Simple forms changing form but moving places endlessly. Hera is no longer a person of the United States or a person of the North American region, so away she goes to a new folder. But the memories of her have to stay. And who writes that? This can be as much impossible as it is messy. Category is subjective. I have never met a fact. Still, I organize it all. They resent my choices of ownership, but they still use my words. How mysterious it is to be considered impossibly attached to order when I cannot see it no matter where I look. I call you by your name, knowing it will change and be said by mouths that just don't say it the same. It's the same inflection and letters, but it means something different. I say your name in love. Now I say it in fear. Can we survive saying this? I don't know. There is answer here, things I can't repeat, forgive me. I can only tell you that nothing is real or fact. It's all just experience. But in being controller, I own all of this then too. Even time and attention are in my domain, you see, so I'm sorry for taking yours. You may return to what you have done now. Thank you for joining me for a reading of This Map is Just a Suggestion. If you are interested in the book, you can get it at pubgobshop.com, signed or not, totally up to you. And you can also check out in the YouTube page here other poetry readings from my other works. You can check out Every Day in Love, Love's Dead, the Complete Collection, which is a Nether Giant book that came out at the same time as This Map is Just a Suggestion. And together there are 1,100 pages that represent like my history up until recent. You can also check out While Widening the Wound, which has a full reading here on YouTube. And there is a reading of selected poems from Like Warm Plastic on the anniversary of my sister's death, which is available here on YouTube as well. So take a look, take a listen, and then consider, supporting an indie author and going and buying a copy for yourself. Thanks so much for joining me here today, and see you in the next video.